Well, Brad, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Rick.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, I think you're the third or fourth person in our interview series for our key executive group. So I want to thank you for taking the time and sharing with us a bit about yourself and Vheda Health and what it is Vheda does and your role within Vheda. But uh, I'd like to then talk about, you and Vistage, what led you to Vistage. And uh, I know it's early because our group just launched in January, but, what are the early signs in terms of what you see as benefit from being a part of the key executive group? Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Good. So tell us about yourself. Tell us about yourself and Vheda Health and what led you to Vheda and your role at Vheda.
Sure. So I'm Brad Marks. I'm the Chief Client Officer for Vheda Health. I've been in the healthcare space for just around 25 years. And that's been everything from project management on through operations and now C-suite level client services activities. Vheda itself is a health plan engagement company who provides an iPhone, which is paired to biometric devices for individuals with a history of high cost conditions such as diabetes, CHF, COPD, hypertension, and high risk pregnancy. We engage these members into our program and provide them with coaching and clinical support. Ultimately, what we're looking to do is lower high cost events from taking place and drive a 3-to-1 or higher ROI for our health plan clients.
That's fabulous. I mean, having spent 20 years in healthcare, I mean, it's wow. We've come a long ways. We have a long way to go. And
Absolutely.
what an incredibly important product and service that you guys have. So that's really cool. So Brad, what led you to Vistage? How did you hear about it? What led you to
Sure.
connecting about Vistage?
Well, two of my partners within Vheda Health in the C-suite, our president and our CEO, are both members. Our president has been a member for a few years now, and he can't say enough about it. And so, being a lifelong learner myself, I started to gain more and more interest around what it was that led both him and our CEO to joining, and also hearing what they get from it. And each of them differently from different levels get something, whether it's the academic end of it or the sharing of ideas or implementing new strategies. All those pieces together from different viewpoints, yet speaking the same language, is really useful. So that's when I said to myself at the end of last year, I think I should look into this deeper and figure out if there's a way, as the third member of the C-suite, to really help bring these ideas into the organization and help us solidify more and more of what we do every single day and make it part of our juice.
Yeah, awesome. No, that's great. Can you just think back examples of when your colleagues may have brought something from Vistage back to the company and they came back with big shiny eyes and I got this great idea, but sure enough, it's something that has worked out well. Can you think of an example when they might have done that?
I guess one in particular is the way in which we talk to each other about our sales strategies.
Okay.
So using some of the same language and then also narrowing it down in a way that makes it simple and digestible. And so it's a way that not just the sales team or even the C-suite knows about how we're driving those sales activities and our prospects, but also in a way that the entire organization can digest it quickly and in a manner in which is helping to execute. I think that's a big thing. And so one of the pieces that we try to continue to grow from within the executive level is how to communicate better and more easy and ensure that flows down. And I think what Vistage does is it helps a lot of people figure out how to trust each other faster and grow,
Yeah.
and use common language in order to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Thank you. Great example. Our key executive group is really pretty new, right? First meeting was in January during a snowstorm, so we had Zoom. But we've had 2 in-person meetings now, and next week's our third, which should be exciting. We're bringing a physician in to talk about health and well-being as our speaker. But as you look at our 3 meetings so far, what has excited you about the group? What's your impressions about the group itself and how it's working? The what it's like being in the room.
Yeah, I think what's really the most interesting to me is all the different types of people that are there in the different industries.
Yeah.
So while you have a few people that are doing construction, if you will, based backgrounds and work, you have others like myself that are in healthcare or other types of functions, and ultimately, all around, we support each other, and made several comments after the last meeting of how, even though we're so different, we've quickly figured out how to become a team and support each other within that day that we're alone together, and then beyond. The emails started to flow the very next day after our last Vistage meeting. So it was great to see how so many people from so many different backgrounds can get together really quickly, form a team, and grow together.
Yeah.
That's what I find to be so special about this. The other thing, and I think I may have mentioned this to you at the end of our last session, I felt like going into that 3:00 hour, I was tired, and that I was worried that I wasn't going to be performing well in this last activity that we were having. But because of the different ways in which we were finding to communicate, my energy levels quickly grew, and I was ready to keep going, and using that function and activity that we were working on really helped to energize not just myself, but like the whole room was feeling good because we were making progress, and that it's very special.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great observations. You look at the group, we've got, I think, one district regional manager, which really she owns her P&L. We've got 2 divisional presidents, general managers, they own a P&L. We've got yourself, a chief client officer. We have a chief business development officer, CFO, COO. So it's really it's a nice blend of the functional areas and as well as the different industries that people are in. So it's a fun mix. One of the things that always comes up when I'm talking to people about Vistage is what's it cost? And my response to that is always, well, the biggest cost is your time. And we meet for 1 full day a month. In the key executive group, the 1-to-1 executive coaching is optional, but if we do that, that's another hour a month with me. And so time is the most precious thing we have. How have you blocked off the time? How is it you're making that commitment to an all-day meeting every month? How did you work through that decision?
Well, first of all, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you figure out ways that you can make time for based on your level of desire, right? And so when I think about the fact that I really want my company to grow from this type of function and activity, it comes down to a few factors. One is you make time. You have to make the time, and 2, you can really start to level up the people down lower in your organization and give them more that they can own, and service in your absence and make more decisions. And the more you do that, you're helping not only yourself get out of the day to day, but also you're helping them grow and you're helping your organization not have single points of failure. And then they too can continue to help ensure that your organization is in a good place.
Yeah.
The other thing that I do is looking into the week prior to the Vistage meeting, I ensure that I have communication points with the people that I normally would have either had scheduled time with or that may need my time, and let them know ahead of time that these are 8 hours out of the week that I'm going to need for myself in order to support our organization, and letting them know that we can meet beforehand or after if necessary. So it's really preparing yourself ahead of time.
Yeah. And setting that clear expectation with others.
Yep.
I really appreciate that, Brad. And most of our people really do set it aside. It's like a sacred day. It's like a vacation day, and if people come into it that way, then it's headspace. Then their heads in the game, and
right.
Sometimes you got to have the 20-minute call over lunch, but I really appreciate that commitment that I know you and the whole team makes. But that's always a really critical question. You really want to be there. You mentioned, how you use the time, and I'd like you to react to this. So it's the age-old Vistage slogan of, what's Vistage about? Well, it's about determining how I spend less time in the business so I can spend more time on the business. And, for the key executive group, for the C-suite, that's as important as it is for the CEOs. It's probably actually harder for the C-suite because at the end of the day, the day-to-day execution does fall on the C-suite. And the CEO, if they've done their job well, has delegated it all to the C-suite, and they're spending most of their time working on the business so that others can work in the business. So my question is, how have you found that balance? And we've talked about it as a group, that you're in this kind of a sandwich generation between needing to not only understand the strategy that the board and CEO have, but contribute to that strategy and challenge it at times if necessary, as well as interpret it and then execute on it. So how's that balance for you as you look at your involvement with this group?
So I think the balance adjusts almost daily because it depends on what the headwinds are, or what I like to call westerly winds, because there's so many things that you don't know are going to come your way that do and end up taking up more time than you ever thought possible. And then also ensuring that the communication's there. So I think what Vistage has helped with so far in the short period of time that I've been with the group is actually talking through those communication points that we work on together within our 8 hours that we're in that team setting, and bringing that back to my CEO and president and saying, these are some of the things that we've talked through in regards to different scenarios that are affecting us. How about taking this approach and trying it out and seeing if it makes our life better and executing more for our clients? And it especially helps with the fact that the two of them are in Vistage to be able to approach it that way, because they think about it from the back of their heads of, oh, of course, I know exactly what he's talking about because I worked through these similar exercises.
Yeah.
So that's one of the other things that we've started to discuss, is figuring out how to put more and more of that language into the rest of the organization so that they can work through some of those problem solving activities.
Great. Excellent. No, thank you. So I guess my last question would be, as you think about joining Vistage, or thought about joining Vistage, and hopefully there are some people watching this video who are considering joining Vistage and the Key Executive Group. What advice do you have for someone considering joining our Key Group?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the first thing that comes to mind is being open-minded. So oftentimes people can think, oh, I've learned so much in my career. I know a lot already, and I'm in the position I'm in because I've done great work. But really, all you have to do is go to one session with Vistage and see that there's still so much more to learn.
Yeah.
No one knows everything, and even being reminded of certain techniques or topics or strategies is incredibly useful. And then what better way to share your knowledge and your experiences than through a group like this? That's incredibly rewarding too.
Yeah.
So I think what I would say too is that it can really refresh your energy towards what you're doing and how you're doing it, and bring new life into your organization. So that would be my suggestion or feedback that I would give anybody considering Vistage today.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you taking some time, sharing your thoughts, and I'll see you on Tuesday.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
Take care.